فكلي واشربي وقري عينا فإما ترين من البشر أحدا فقولي إني نذرت للرحمن صوما.
Hey everyone, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Islamic Mary podcast. So for today, I want to focus on verse 25 of the chapter of Maryam. And this is a powerful verse because, as we recall, Maryam is in the state of anguish, despair, pain. She cries out, she wishes she was forgotten, that she had died. And then a voice calls out from below and tells her and instructs her what she should do. Now, for today, we'll focus on what this voice is saying. What is it instructing Maryam to do? So it begins and it says, وَهُزِّي إِلَيْكِ بِجِذِ النَّخْلَةِ. So it starts in this mysterious voice, and once again we spoke that it could be the voice of Jesus, of Isa, the baby, speaking from the womb to the mom and telling her what to do. But the majority of scholars argue that this is Jibreel, the earlier figure, angel who came to her and directly told her that you are going to have Jesus, Isa, and then this is a decree of God. Now, this voice is speaking directly to Maryam. And if you look closely in the Arabic, it says, and shake the trunk of the palm tree. وَهُزِّي إِلَيْكِ. So it's very clear that this is a direct call or direct command to her, and it's telling her exactly what to do, that she should shake the trunk of a palm tree. Now this is fascinating in the sense that if anyone has touched a palm tree or been close to it, you know that the palm tree is something that is difficult to shake. It's very sturdy, but this is more of a symbolic act. And as we've discussed many times, Maryam is associated with Christianity, with Jesus, Isa, but there are parallels with that of Moses, of Musa, where he's also told to throw his staff or to hit the Red Sea. So in a similar way that Maryam is told, now shake this palm tree. And this palm tree here is unique in the sense that only occurs in the Quran in reference to Maryam. So many times we have different verbs, hapaxes, as we discussed earlier, that are found in unique chapters and verses. And when you have a hapax, when you have a word that's only used once or even twice in a text, that it is unique. It's highlighting that something important is going to happen. And when I was thinking and writing about the Islamic Maryam, I was really fascinated with this image of Maryam shaking this palm tree, trying to seek the help of God and His mercy. And if you look at my cover of my forthcoming book, you can see that I chose that image of her by herself as the protagonist, shaking the palm tree, seeking dates and respite. And this voice tells her, وَهُزِّي إِلَيْكِ بِجِذِ النَّخْلَةِ, and shake the trunk of this palm tree towards you, تُسَاقِطْ عَلَيْكِ رَطَبًا جَنِيًّا. And after you do that, you have these fresh dates appear upon you. And this is telling her that if you do this, and this is in Arabic a condition and a response to a condition, a shart, jawab al-shart, or there's a command, do this, and then the command will be heard and implemented, then these dates will appear. Now, many commentators focus on this idea of dates. So this is a Islamicized view of Maryam, that she is in the Middle East. She is someone who is going to receive ripe dates, similar to the Arabs, and that scholars even debate that was this in the season of the dates being available and being able to be eaten by people, or was this a miracle? Maybe this palm tree was there and barren, but God put these dates there. So you have both of these opinions saying that Maryam gave birth during the season of these fresh dates, and others say, well, this was a miracle of God, as the birth of Jesus was as a whole. Now, when we look just 2 verses earlier in verse 23, we also see this idea of the palm tree. فَأَجَاءَهَا الْمَخَاضُ إِلَى جِذْعِ النَّخْلَةِ. So if we remember, when Maryam laments, when she cries out and she says, يَا لَيْتَنِي مِتُّ قَبْلَ هَذَا وَكُنْتُ نَسْيًا مَنْسِيًّا, when she says, "Oh God, alas, I wish I had died before this and was a thing long forgotten," she actually goes to the palm tree. So this is the same palm tree that's understood that she retrieves to, that she finds respite, that she's finding comfort, and she's isolated, that she's by herself. And the same palm tree which is covering her, which is accompanying her in her isolation, is also the palm tree that she shakes and she finds these nourishing dates. Now, what was interesting when I looked throughout the Quran, these are the only two times when this image is put together of the jidh and nakhla, that of the trunk of the palm tree. And just like other prophetic and Quranic figures have certain images attached to them. When I think of Abraham, for example, Ibrahim, the story of the sacrifice, and so many different biblical paintings and even Islamic artists have depicted this image. I actually have a blog on my website on Maidan that talks about the different depictions of Ibrahim sacrificing or attempting to sacrifice his son. You have biblical art, which is very realist, that has Isaac in a state of terror while his father pulls out the knife. You have an angel intervening, holding Abraham's hand, preventing him from doing the act. While in Islamic art, you also have images, but the son, Ismail, is older. And you see that they're in a paradise, angelic space, and angels coming down through wings and is informing Abraham not to engage in the actual slaughter. You have a peaceful, serene scene, and the idea is that both of them will eventually go to paradise because of their submission. And as we discuss, other figures like Jonah, Yunus, is associated with the whale. You'll have figures like Musa, Moses, with his staff and the parting of the Red Sea. So if you think of these various biblical and Quranic images that they're associated with particular figures, then we can also associate Maryam with this particular image that's unique to her. And as I discussed, we see that the Quran is intentional of connecting different Quranic and biblical figures together. That Maryam is not only seen as a Christian figure, but as an Islamic figure, and she's connected with other Abrahamic figures. So when I was reading this particular passage in the chapter of Maryam, and she's told and commanded to shake the palm tree and that these dates would emerge, I immediately thought of Moses, Musa. And this will actually appear later in the chapter, that there will be explicit references to that of Moses and his brother Harun or Aaron. And we'll have verses that talk about Maryam as being Ukht al-Harun, that she is the sister of Aaron. And one particular verse says, فَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى Musa. So the Quranic divine voice is saying, we revealed and we inspired Moses, أَنِدْرِبْ بِعَصَاكِ الْبَحْرِ, telling him, now strike the sea with your staff. And this is important because you have a command once again. So before we said we saw the command of Huzzi, of shaking the palm tree, and this beautiful image of Maryam by herself before the birth, shaking the palm tree, seeking the mercy and rahmah of God. Here is seen that Moses is told to hit, idrib. So in a similar way that he is commanded to do something. But what is he commanded to do? To take his staff. And this is the same staff that when he goes to Pharaoh, he confronts him, that it becomes a snake, that it's something that he uses in his daily life as a shepherd. Asaq al-Bahr. So strike the sea with your staff. So this is the Red Sea that he's commanded once again in a miraculous nature to hit this body of water. And then the Quran explains what will happen. فَانْفَلَقَ فَكَانَ كُلُّ فِرْقٍ كَالْتَوْدِ. And it says, and the sea was split. Each part was like a huge mountain. So once again, an amazing image here that Moses is commanded to do something. He has to take the effort, he has to do his part, and then miraculously, amazingly, that the sea splits, and then each side is like a mountain. Here we have an implicit comparison between the two, that both of them are told in a way that they should do and act in a particular moment. So Maryam is in a state of distress. She's about to have a child for the first time. She's in a state of pain and sorrow, but then she's told to act, that she shouldn't simply live in her sadness and depression, but a divine voice comes and tells her what to do. In a similar way, Musa in this particular situation is found running away from Pharaoh and his army, and he reaches a body of water and he doesn't know what to do. And once again, he's told by a divine voice to act, and this way to act and to hit the sea, and then it opens up altogether. And we see that the verses continues and it says, وَأَزْ لَفْنَا ثُمَّ الْآخَرِينَ, and we drew the pursuers to that place. So Moses flees, he goes through the Red Sea, and then those who are following him come afterwards. وَأَنْجَيْنَا مُوسَى وَمَنْ مَعَهُ أَجْمَعِينَ, and deliver Moses and those with him altogether. So what's remarkable here is the idea of najat, that Musa is delivered, he's rescued, and with those who are with him, because he acted in a concise and forthright way. So in conclusion, we see in verse 25 of the chapter of Maryam the importance of action. So one of the things I love about this chapter is this Qur'anic vulnerability that Zechariah, earlier on Zechariah, and Maryam, Mary, both of them speak about their weakness. Zechariah earlier on, that his bones are weak, his hair has become white, and that Maryam, she is giving birth for the first time and she's scared, and she says she wished she had died and been a thing forgotten. But in both of those moments, we see that they make a prayer or they make a call, and that call is responded. Zechariah eventually has a child, and that child is born and will live out the legacy of his father. And in a similar way, Maryam, she makes out a call. She doesn't necessarily ask for anything, but she expresses herself, her pain and her vulnerability. And then the Qur'anic voice instructs her on what to do. And we see a similar theme with that of Musa, that these different figures in the Qur'an and also in the Bible, they find themselves in remarkably difficult circumstances, whether that's giving birth, being old and not having a child, running away from a tyrant and a king. But everyone is told that they should take an action, that they should do something, whether that's a prayer, whether that is hitting the Red Sea. And then particularly here, we see the idea of the palm tree. And this is a beautiful image that even when I was planning and developing this podcast, that was the image that I wanted to be on the cover, that of Maryam by herself as her own independent, as herself, as a protagonist, standing there, looking up, being strong and shaking that palm tree. And we find this idea of relief, that yes, difficulty is part of life. It's part of the prophetic mission, but there is this relief that all these various figures find. Zechariah eventually has a child, even though he is older and his wife is barren. Moses eventually goes through the Red Sea and the children of Israel are saved. You have that Maryam getting the dates and eventually a stream that will comfort her while she gives birth to Jesus. So there is this consistent theme that if you act in a particular way, God will be there to support and guide, and that miracles often occur when things seem to be impossible, when there are moments of desperation and despair. So thanks once again for listening to the Islamic Mary podcast. You can pre-order my book, The Islamic Mary. It's now available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, as well as other book outlets. You can subscribe to this podcast. I'm excited that seeing more subscribers and downloads over the months. You can encourage your friends, students, and colleagues to listen to this podcast. I'm actually teaching a course right now on interfaith and interreligious studies and using parts of this podcast as a teaching tool. Feel free to email me, text me about your thoughts, comments, ideas. You can review this podcast. Let me know your thoughts, how we can enhance it. You can also, once again, give direct feedback to me. And you can visit my website and join my newsletter, where you'll be updated on the various activities and programs related to the release of the Islamic Mary, Maryam Through the Centuries. Thanks once again, and take care.